Hey guys, what's going on? So choosing a monitor can be a little bit daunting sometimes. So hopefully after you've seen this video, you'll be a little bit more comfortable in your choice. So let's get into this. We're going to be comparing IPS, VA, and OLED panels. They all have their pros and cons. They're all great in their own right. But it's just about choosing a monitor that's best for you and suits your everyday needs. So what I've done on the next screen, I have put together a bit of pros and cons list. We're going to compare them. These are going to be my thoughts on the monitors, actual facts about the monitors. And yeah, I mean, I've used a fair few monitors over the last few years between IPS, VA, OLED, 4K, 1440p, 1080p. Yeah, so I do have a little bit of knowledge with it. I am not a tech guru by any means. But yeah, hopefully after you've seen this video, it will help you guys in your decision. All right, so let's get into it. So here's my little list. Up here in the top left here, we've got our QD OLED. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is I have seen countless amount of questions of what monitor should I get or monitor recommendations on a lot of PC pages I follow. So I did a small video, I think it was like last week, couple weeks ago, about my new monitor I bought, and I also included why I did it. If you're interested in seeing that, it is in my videos. Um, yeah, so everyone always comments and replies OLED. It's like, well, okay, well, like, yeah, but like, it's like monitor recommendations, OLED, but why? And also, the price. Like, there's no like budget, there's no use case, anything like that. So yeah, let's just have a quick look into now we've got QD OLED here and WOLED. A lot of their pros and cons are nearly exactly the same. We'll go through the biggest difference between the two. So your QD OLED's going to be much brighter because it does have that backlight to help boost the brightness. Um, you are going to get slightly better sharpness and clarity compared to your WOLEDs. You're also going to get most QD OLEDs have a glossy finish, and then most WOLEDs have a matte finish. Now, if you're in a completely dark room all the time when you're using the monitor, a WOLED is definitely not 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 the best option. Your QD OLED is going to be your best because it has a glossy finish. It's crisp. It's crisper. Let me not say it's crispy. It's crisper. um, and overall, you're just going to have a better experience with a glossy finish. But in a room like this, even like this, I've got my RGB lighting. Um, the glossy screen creates a bit of a any light that bounces through it creates like a purple glow. So you're not on a completely black screen, you're actually not going to be perfectly black. It will have a slight purple gray tinge to it, but in 99% of cases, not an issue, especially when you get the benefits of way better brightness, way better colors, way better HDR. Yeah, so just an overall better experience with your QD OLEDs. You do normally spend a lot more money on them. Now, some big negatives for me when using these monitors is the lack of clarity on like text, icons, the color fringing, like your taskbar, for example, like there's like a pink line that goes across the whole taskbar. So if you are planning on using it for desktop use, OLED is definitely not the best for it. So if you're, like a 70% desktop user, all the productivity stuff, and then 30% of the time you game, maybe OLED's not for you. You do get amazing colors, amazing blacks. Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're good. But yeah, that color fringing and the lack of clarity is definitely something to take into account. You do get the best response times out of any other monitor. Best contrast, you do have run the risk of burn-in, it's not that much of an issue anymore. If you're someone that wants to keep a monitor for 6 years, maybe that could be an issue for you. If you're someone that buys a new monitor every 3 years or something like that, not that big of an issue, but for resale, could be an issue. So, like, just things to take into account. Artifacting, which is what I was saying about like the lack of clarity and stuff, small text and stuff. It's just pixel. We'll just say pixelated. It doesn't look great. In saying that, this will depend on your resolution and screen size. 1440p 27 inch, I mean 1440p at OLED just looks meh. It's just not, it's not great when it comes to any text or clarity, anything like that. It's a bit of a mess. 4K on a 32 inch, you'll be pretty good. Still there, the color fringing and the text clarity, even things like your background, foreground kind of thing. Like, let's say in like a gaming menu where you got the background and like your operators standing there, they kind of blend instead of having that pop that a IPS or a VA panel or a normal LCD will have. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much. I mean, you can have a look there. Anyway, I think the difference between WOLED and QD-OLED, you do have, instead of like blue or pink fringing on text, you'll have like a shadow effect kind of thing with it, just because of the way their pixel layout is slightly different. But all in all, WOLED's just not a great choice in any circumstance unless you play in a lit room quite often. Then that might be a choice for you. If you are strictly gaming and none of the other cons that I've said will annoy you, for me, they annoy me way too much. Like, I used my gaming screen for 90% gaming, but when I sit down and look at a game menu, or like a HUD, I want to like have that background foreground kind of thing of text to background and the mini map stuff like that. I want that pop that OLED in general just lacks for me. But yeah, it depends on what you think you can deal with. If you want to have the best response times and deal with all that other stuff, more power to you. Just know what you're getting into. Definitely go have a look at a few or play on a few if you can. Right, so I'm going to move down the list a little bit here. So VA panels. Everyone fucking force hate on VA panels, but it's not all forced. So, cheap VA panels, definitely do not recommend at all. For example, we're going to use Samsung as an example here because they are amazing at shit stuff and really good stuff. So they have a Samsung G5, very cheap. In Australia, it's like $200 at the moment. And like, it's an older monitor, but like $200 for a cheap VA monitor, it's like probably everyone's go-to for a budget monitor. Now, you will definitely run into issues of pretty shitty response times, bad blooming. You're going to get bad viewing angles. Now, viewing angles for me, I don't usually say that's as a con or a pro, because usually you're sitting smack bang in front of your monitor, so it's not really an issue. I will say curved VA panels much better at viewing angles because it brings your edges in, so that way when you turn your eyes, you are actually more direct onto it. Where on a flat, if you're sitting middle and you move to the sides, you can notice a little bit of not discoloration, but you can notice it a little bit. Okay, in a game, can't notice it. I'm talking about on a white screen and like trying to look for it. In the middle of a game, zero chance of noticing it. VA also has really good contrast. That's one thing I didn't touch on OLED, sorry. Yeah, OLED's great contrast, infinite contrast technically. Yeah, so VA is really good at contrast, the black smearing, so fast moving objects, things like that, especially if you're not running at the monitor's max refresh rate. If you're like a 240 hertz monitor running at like 60 or like 100, under 100, you are going to get issues with my next thing here, ghosting, black smearing, shit like that. Just fast pace. Once again, these things here, it's like not a make or break for a lot of people, and if you didn't tell people to look for it, they probably wouldn't see it. um but it is a lot more noticeable on your cheaper VA panels. I'm going to go down to cheap IPS first before I go expensive. um so cheap IPS, if you are on a budget and you have to like buy cheap, IPS is definitely the way to go. You're going to get naturally better response times than VA. um the contrast isn't that great, but if you are going for, you know, entry into FPS gaming, you know, if you're playing CS, Valorant, Fortnite, COD, like you're not going to care about the contrast too much. And if you haven't experienced a high contrast monitor, going back like going to an IPS is not going to like be an issue. They do have great color accuracy as well. They're really good at color reproduction. You do get a bit of black light backlight bleed, which, I mean, once again, in gaming, not usually an issue. It's on like dark scenes. You might have a bit of white light coming through your edges, your back, and stuff like that. So if you're more of like a story game player where you have a lot of dark scenes, something to take into account, your VA is going to definitely be better at that. But then you do have the issue with black smearing, ghosting on the cheap end, right? So if you're doing cheap, fast-paced gaming, IPS is the way to go for sure. Now we're going to move across to the expensive side here. So we're going to now use Samsung again. So Samsung G7 back in the day, now a G6, 240 hertz, 1440p, 27-inch curved, 10-bit native panel, which is huge. Very, very rare, and Samsung's really the only people that bothered with it. So comparing the G7, which I personally have, and the G5, which I also personally have, I actually have three of them, because my missus used two. Um, Comparing the 5 to the 7 is like, you know, comparing, let's say, a low end car to something with a DVD screen and it, leather seats, heated seats, and stuff. It's just night and day difference, even if it's like the same car, you know. If you get your, you've got much better response times, usually on par with IPS now. So, for example, the G7 is like 3.5, I think, from memory, which is insane for a VA panel. True 10-bit panels available. There is a couple, not many. You will still have poor viewing angles. Once again, if it's curved, it's not as noticeable, which a lot of VA panels are. Great contrast ratios, like so much better, like ridiculously better than IPS. You will still have some panels, I will say, not all. You still have some ghosting, some black smearing if you are really, 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 really looking for it, or using those display like benchmark videos, you know, your UFO, all that stuff. Purposely looking for it. If you just jump into a game and look for it, you'll never see it. Yeah, if you grab like a window on your desktop and like spin it around really quickly, you'll see some ghosting behind it, 100%, which you don't get with your OLED panels. But I mean, let's be real, guys, who's doing that? Anyway, so if I was to compare, like if I was to choose between expensive VA or expensive IPS, I'm definitely choosing VA every day of the week. IPS, I mean, still the response times are great. Color accuracy is still awesome. the contrast is still stays poor no matter how much you spend on an IPS. They do have true 10-bit panels, so these are really good for any of your like photo editing, video editing, stuff like that. You will have better color reproduction 90% of the time. Some VA panels will get very, very close, but like, yeah. So once again, if you're doing pretty much desktop work only, with that kind of content where you're doing photo editing, video editing, IPS is a great option. Now, combining expensive VA and expensive IPS together, we're then going to move down to our mini LEDs. So pretty much what that allows us to introduce is dimming zones. Some of the cheaper ones will have around 500 to 600 dimming zones, which is okay. But if you're gonna like get a mini LED, you want the dimming zones. So I'm going to use an example, which my monitor I'm using right now is you're going to have great response times, still around that 3 to 6 milliseconds, as we can see here on the expensive stuff. MSI do, I think even LG might do a rapid display, they call it, which is, I'm not going to go into the whole tech side of it, but it's just an extra layer that they put on, to the screen to then boost the refresh rate and the greater response time, stuff like that. Not the refresh rate, response times, my bad. Dimming zones, your 10 and 12-bit panels again. For example, a 12-bit panel is the Samsung Neo G8 4K 32-inch 240 hertz monitor. The thing was crazy expensive when it came out because it was the first in the world to do it. It was before OLED. Insane monitor. Like you'll get 98% level of black that an OLED does. So like if you want a 4K 32-inch curved awesome monitor, a Neo G7 or a Neo G8. The Neo G8 is 240 hertz, Neo G7's 165 or 175. Played on both of them, freaking awesome. Which I'll give my monitor listings in a second that I've played on. Great contrast. Once again, even better again for VA. So normal VA is like 3001. Mini LED will push you up to like 4000 to 1 quite comfortably. Like, really nice. Crazy brightness, for example, like mini LED, the one I've got at 40 to 50% brightness, it's like 100% brightness on my other VA G7. HDR brightness, freaking awesome as well. I've done lots of testing on HDR content, using Dolby and stuff like that on YouTube. And just going through calibrating some colors. You still get your normal text clarity and your sharpness that you do on a normal LCD monitor. Perfect whites for desktop use. Yeah, that's a huge noticeable thing. Coming from my G7, high end, like that was $1,000 AUD when I bought that 5 years ago or something. Now that's like the best monitor you could possibly buy. And now the mini LED one blows it out of the water, being like for whites, and like it's crazy. Like to do I was actually going to set up like a flashbang thing that my monitor turns on max brightness when I get flashbanged in COD, because this shit is wild. Like it is straight up sun. And after playing with the colors on the monitor on NVIDIA color settings, I was able to pretty much get the colors and blacks nearly identical to the OLEDs that I've tested. With your dimming zones, this is the biggest part here, near OLED blacks. Now, so if you have content that introduces dimming zones very well, and uses HDR, stuff like that, very well, your blacks will be within 1% of an OLED. If you have 1152 dimming zones on a 27-inch panel, like, you can dim 99% of the panel pretty much. Like, it's ridiculous. The only part you'll get slight, like, if you had a pure black screen with a white ball moving around the middle of it, you will get a slight bloom around it. You can't, yeah, which, I mean, who cares? Who's doing that? Um, so if you haven't realized already, my personal favorite is the mini LED. And I will tell you now why it is my favorite. I mean, we're 20 minutes in here. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested, you can watch my other video about it. I'm going to give you a quick rundown now anyway, but yeah, this has already gone for long enough. If this helps you at all, guys, if you could drop a like, drop a sub on the channel, that would be amazing. But yeah, pretty much I've tried a 4K 32-inch OLED, a 27-inch 1440p OLED. I've tried the Neo G7, Neo G8, mini LED. I've now got my MSI Rapid VA mini LED. And pretty much the biggest thing for me was I played on the Neo G7, Neo G8, which is 4K 32-inch, and I was like, whoa, yeah, like, this is nice. And then I went to my mate's and tried his 4K 32-inch OLED, and I was like, oh. I played the exact same game, and I was like, oh, like, in the menu, you don't have that foreground background of, like, the characters, the mini map, the text in the menu, pink fringing on it, and, like, it's like, like, spending that much money on a monitor, and then you're like, oh, but I get good response times. It's like, yeah, but, like, pros have been playing on 6 milliseconds for years. Like, you don't need 0.0003 milliseconds or whatever the frig it is. But yeah, look, that's my opinion. You can have your opinion. I hope that this helps you make your decision. If it does, like I said, a like, a sub would be amazing on the channel. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.